Hello crafty friends. So today I'm coming to share with you the 10 cards 1 kit that I have been putting away for the longest time. This is for the card kit that I got for the month of August for Simon Says Stamp, and I'm barely getting around to finishing up all of these cards. Now I know today is September 2nd, but I thought I might as well share with you the cards that I made. Um, and like I said, I do have a ton more that I could be making, but I wanted to share these with you nonetheless. So what I'm doing here again, I super sped up my videos because I wanted to be able to show you. There is so many cards that I made, and the process was a little bit lengthy, and that's why it took me a while, because I didn't sit down and do them all in one day. I was actually just taking time and do one card and come back and do another. So I am using my Spectrum Noir markers to go ahead and color these super cute balloon happy or word happy. And what I did, I actually masked that little bear and I double stamped it, so I stacked one on top of the other. I thought that would be pretty fun. That paper, I actually used one of my dies and it's already trimmed and is going to be ready to be placed on the card. So I am using just a couple of different shades of the same similar colors that I'm using to color each one of the letters or the balloons, because I want to add a little bit of dimension. So that's where my little shading comes into place. So here I'm just going back to do the little touch up. Now, as you can see at the beginning, I hadn't thought it through completely. So what I did with that little hat, because the strings from the balloons were all over it, I decided to go ahead and paper pieces. So I just cut out a piece of pattern paper. I stamped the little hat, cut it out, and then just glue it on. And then I decided to give them both a little red little bows. Thought they would look really cute. So there is my little hat. Now I am going to glue it into place, and you can see there, it's like, if I had meant for it to be that way the entire time. Now here I am just trimming my pattern paper just a little bit so I can fit it into the card, and as you can see, there it is. Now I am just going to be adding the glue and trying to decide exactly which side I wanted to use, because I like that purple too and how it made the purple balloon pop, but I went back and I decided to use my original side that I wanted. Now for the main image, I decided to go ahead and use my foam tape. So I am just adding a lot of foam tape to the back, and I am going to place it at an edge. As many of you may know, I love placing things off at an angle, because I think that it just gives them more interest. Now I just add a little bit of my sparkle pen and a little bit of details with a white jelly roll pen so I can finish off the front. Now I'm just thinking what else I was going to use. But because the little balloon said happy, I decided to go ahead and just make a little strip with the sentiments that said happy birthday. So I went ahead and cut it out and just glue it on the top. Just made it cut like a little arrow. Just added a little bit of color around the edges so that way it can pop up a little bit more, and then I glued it straight onto the paper. So you can see the little paints right there, and I like using wet glue because that gives you a little bit of time to move it around. Now I'm trying to decide the sentiment that I am going to be using for the inside of my card. Oftentimes I leave them blank, but because this one had a lot of really cute sentiments, I thought that it would be fun to use it. So in this one, I used the one that says party like a panda. I couldn't read anymore. Party like a panda because birthdays only happen once a year. So I went ahead and used my stamp positioning tool to stamp the little bear inside, and there it is. Now don't worry about it, I did go a little bit fast, but I'll be coming back to go over all of the cards. Now this other card or second card that I am making, I did most of it. I had already pre-planned it, and kind of decided to cut on the filming a little bit. So I stamped the oh my gosh, and I decided to use some clear embossing powder to make it pop a little bit. And then I went back and used one of the sentiments, just trying to decide where it's going to be. And I decided to stamp the one that says, did I seriously forget your birthday? Because you see this little panda that he's so sad with the popped up balloon and the little messed up presents. So there it is. I am just putting this little frame that I had cut out with one of my favorite Avery Hill dies, and then I am just going to be popping that little Panda onto some foam tape. You guys all know I also love adding dimension to my images. So here I added some of it all the way to the bottom. I was thinking if I would just add it to the top or not. So I decided to just kind of pop him out just a little bit. I used regular glue to glue the bottom part. And then it's just his little head that is popping up. So there I put him in the corner, and that is pretty much all that is going to almost complete the front of my card base. There I'm trying to decide what it is that I'm going to do. So now going back to the inside of the card, I am going to be adding a sentiment in there as well. But first I did decide to add this little bear that is laying down, and I matched his little bow to match the card base. Now moving on to the next one. I'm sorry, I think I lost some of the footage there, but we're moving on to the next card. And by this point, I had gotten a little bit smarter. I went ahead and stamped, colored, and fuzzy cut a bunch of different images. And then from there, I just kind of started thinking of what I was going to do. So here I am making a little cluster of balloons, and I am going to be adding them onto the card. But first I added a piece of twine using some of my tumble glue. Usually this glue is a little bit stronger, so I added it so that way I am able to, glue it a little bit faster. Added little foam squares all around and trying to decide where I am going to put that little cluster of balloons. So again, I decided to grab more foam tape and put it onto the little bear, and that way I can pop them up. I just thought it would look really cute. Now let me mention also to the back of that card base, what I did. I was trying to do a lot of one layer card bases. I used some VersaFine ink. Sorry about that. It was VersaFine ink to just stamp a lot of those little balloons and stars and like little confetti images that came with the stamp set, to stamp them all around because it gives us that little ghost stamping effect, and I really love how that looked. So here I am just trying to make it look like my little bear is holding his balloons. So I use my bottle of tumble glue to just kind of press it down and make sure it stays in place. Now I'm just cutting again another little sentiment that I heat embossed with white embossing powder onto a piece of black paper or cardstock, and there I am going to be putting it on the side. This is my sentiment because I thought that it would look cute. Now I didn't want it to get lost, so I decided to grab a piece of green paper to kind of frame it, so that made it look a little bit better. So it says, I'm here for the party, and all the cake. So it says, I'm here for the party and all the cake. Sorry about that, I was just having a little bit trouble remembering. And then I just stamped happy birthday inside. Now for the next one, I picked out it's a tag die, but this is the largest one, I believe. I decided to use it this way, and I decided to heat emboss this little panda onto the black paper with white embossing powder because I don't know if a real panda exists like this, but I like to call it an inverse panda, and I thought that it looked pretty funny, so I went ahead and used it here. I colored his little cake and stuff with some shimmer pencils. I think they're the Spectrum Noir metallic pencils, so that's what I colored it with. I was thinking about paper piecing it, but it's a lot of little pieces, so I decided to color instead. Now I added some gold thread to do these two little balloons, tied it over, and then now I'm just hiding it behind the little gifts, and there you have it. So there goes with the next one. Says you're allowed to cause as much pandemonium as you want. So now we're going to finish the inside of the card, and sorry about that, my camera kept kind of wanting to go out of focus. So here I go again with that little panda. I just think he's just so adorable. I put him at the bottom corner. He's just laying there. Now the next one is going to be you guessed it, a shaker card. So I used this frame die to cut it out. I'm using a piece of acetate that I had already cut to size, and I'm using my tumble glue for these. When I'm making acetates, I think my tumble glue is one that works the best. You could also use the Ranger one, but I like using tumble for some reason. Excuse my crazy hair there. So here, once I had it ready, I went ahead and put some foam tape, and this is doubled, so it's a double layer of the foam tape. I am grabbing here a little piece of some clear thread, so that way I can make that little balloon be a little bit suspended So that way I thought that it would be a cute effect to have it, bobbling up and down. So I am just trying to see where I am going to place it, give it a little bit of room, and then, just remove some of that tape. I didn't want to remove all of it because I didn't want it to get all messed up. But here I am just trying to give it a little bit of wiggle room so that way it can move around. And then just weave the remainder of the thread around some of the foam tape so it can hold it in there. You can see that it's already moving there, so super cute. Trying to mark down where I'm going to do it, because this time, instead of placing my shaker stuff on the bottom portion, I am going to place it onto the top. I was just trying to decide which way would work best, but this is where you can see I'm starting to put some of my little sequins and trying to arrange them so that way I can make sure that they go the right way. Now when I was trying to do this is when I decided to switch it, is because I used some of those little pearl beads, and when I dumped them onto the card, I made a big mess. So I decided to go backwards and put them inside the little shaker window and put my items there, so that way I didn't run the risk of these little beads running all over the place like they did on the previous one. So here I am using different elements. So I use glitter, some more of the beads, and adding the beads with the glitter kind of helps because it helps them move around, because glitter usually tends to stick to acetate, so these helped a lot. And then I'm also adding some of these little elements like the little gift, the little party hat, onto each one of the different little windows. And now I'm just kind of trying to go back to center the page, and I am going to guesstimate where to put it. I decided to use my mat as a little bit of a guide so I can center it as best as I could. And here you can see it worked for the most part. So now you can see all the elements shaking here, and then that's where you can see that my glitter kind of sticks to the top of the acetate, but after a while it was able to move. So now I am going to be gluing my little bear onto the front of this little window with his little cake, and that's the same one that I did the inverse panda with. So there it is. Now we're just going to be cutting a little sentiment, two little sentiment strips, and I heat emboss again with white embossing powder, and I'm just going to put it on the little window. So this one says hip hip hooray, let's celebrate. So now I am ready to attach these to my card base, and I'm using a white card base. I believe this one was a top folding. Actually no, it's a side folding. So I am ready to do a sentiment on the inside, so we are just going to use the happy birthday, and I'm trying to place it as best as I can. Now sometimes when you're doing this, sometimes it's nerve-wracking because you want to make sure that you stamp it straight. It has happened to me many times that I don't, so I get a little nervous. I use a little gift to put at the corner just to kind of add a little bit of decoration, and that's it for that card. Now moving on to the next one. Again, I already had things cut out, so that made everything move a little bit faster. Even then, even though I didn't do it all in the same day, I had all the elements pretty much pre-cut, so it was a little bit easy. So now what I'm trying to do here is on that little banner that I cut out, you could see that it's kind of swervy shaped. So I'm trying to fix my sentiment to kind of make it look like it's going with the banner. So I just flipped it over and then used my stamping block to kind of position it how I want it. So again, this one says hip hip hooray, let's celebrate. And then at the top it just reads party time. So I am using regular glue, just layering it. I'm trying not to add too many layers because of all the different elements I already have going on. But there you have it. I put again that little panda. I think this little panda that is laying down, or just kind of, I don't know, he's like flat down. I think he was my favorite. As you can see, I used him a lot. But here I am just placing the little gifts behind it. I am going to be putting these onto a black card base, and then just putting it there. And I just love the pop of how the black frames out all the colors and how they pop. Super super cool. Now of course I had to make this little guy a wobbler, so I decided to put him in a little wobble mechanism and use my VersaFine box to just kind of hold it in place. And then now the outside of that frame that I used for the outside, I actually just trimmed it on a little bit and decided to put it on the inside to frame just the white card base, because you can't really write on a black card base. So there I just framed it, and I love how that turned out. So that's another little trick of you for you not to waste your little frames that you have, because you could use it for the inside of your card. And I'm going to be stamping my sentiment on the inside. So this one says, this parting is going to be stampandos. Stampandos. So there it is with the little wobbler. And now we're moving to the next one. So yes, I could not go on making cards without using that super adorable picture book panda frame. So I am using some of the little felt like sheets that were included from Thermoweb, and I did I did cut one with the black and one with the white. So I just kind of trimmed out little two little pieces. And what I did with this also, I had bagged it with that sheet of like adhesive that was included with the kit. I decided to use that so that way it would be a lot easier to put it all together, because you can see we have itty bitty pieces, especially for the little eyes, to put together. So here I am using my little spellbinders tool to kind of poke things through and make sure that I have everything out. You can see the eyes for that little panda, they're super tiny, so I don't think that I'll be making too many of these, because they are a lot time consuming and it's a little bit frustrating. So here I just grab a scrap piece of paper, and I am going to begin paper piecing my little panda, just removing that backing of that adhesive. Now for these, I did decide to pull out the negative space, so that way I can make sure that I line up those little ears and the rest of the body, perfectly, or as perfect as I can. So here I am trying to put the little eyes as well, and that is actually a big help to have that there, that negative, because you can line things up. Especially here when I was trying to line up his little arms, I want to make sure that I do it the best, so it's not a wonky panda. So there I go and add the white to it. The super cool thing about this paper is that you can feel it, and it feels so velvety. It's so super cool. But like I said, this was very time consuming, so I decided to only do this one. So here I go, because obviously I had to reuse the other one, and I don't know, like I said, I don't know if it's a thing, but I thought that making inverse pandas is also pretty cool. So I went ahead and used the opposite, so I can make an inverse panda as well. So that's what I am doing here, just using my little one. You guys are probably thinking I'm super crazy for doing this. I don't know, but let me know what you think, or if you've ever seen a panda, an inverse panda. I think that would be a really cool thing. Anyway, let's get on to the card. Now for this one, I decided to make it look like a little bit of a peekaboo. So I decided to cut a pattern paper, and then just kind of glue it to the corner. Once I'm pressing this one down, I tucked my little panda into that little section. I had actually not added glue there, so I added some glue to him, and then just make it look like he's poking out of I don't know, could be like a gift or a birthday curtain, I don't know. So here I am adding again some thread, and I'm doubling it, so that way it could add a little bit more, I don't know, more dimension to it, because why not? So I always cut out a little piece of paper and trim it, so that way I can glue it on the back to hold it in place, make it look like the little bear is holding the balloon. And I'm just trying to kind of fuss with it. Of course, I decided to use some foam tape for it as well. So we're going to pop that balloon, because I just have to add dimensions somewhere, somehow. I just gotta do it. So I'm trying to decide the best placement for that little balloon, twisting all the little different strands, adding now the glue to the ear, and I decided to go with my Tombow, because that usually tends to work faster. So yeah, I made a mess there because I added too much, but no worries, I cleaned it out. And then after it dries, I came back with my adhesive eraser. That is a super cool tool to erase it, and it's like nothing ever happened. So here I'm just cutting a little bit of a sentiment that says it's party time. Just cut a little tiny strip. I decided to add little tiny strips of foam tape to pop it up a bit as well. And again, this I already had it stamped, heat embossed, and all I had to do was cut it. Now I am going to be getting ready to add this. At this point, I didn't even know where my glue had gone, so I am using my ATG gun. Oh, and there it was. There was my glue. I don't know. I don't even know why I pulled that one out then. But anyway, it's gotta use your tools, right? So here I am just putting it back onto the card base, and we're going to do something on the inside of the card. So there we go. I love that this time actually. I think I went and I did finish off the inside of all of the cards. Now I'm doing that same happy birthday and stamping it onto the inside. I just love this little happy birthday sentiment. I think it's super cool, and I know that I'll be using it quite a bit. So there it is, super cute. Now to add just a little bit of extra, I decided to kind of draw myself a little gift. So I am just kind of using my one of my pens here to draw on it, trying to decide the placement of it, and I decided to go to the bottom corner, and then I am just going to draw a little bow to finish it off. And there you have it, super cute. So now I don't even remember which card number we're on, but we'll just keep on going. So here is a recap of all the cards that we made. Here's that first one, and then here is another one. It just says I just decided to use the happy on the outside and birthday just inside. Here is the little shaker one that we made together, and I do apologize that I don't have the filming of all of the cards, because on some of them I actually lost the footage, and some others I didn't record them, so apologies for that. Here is that one that we worked on together, and here is the other one. Here's the inside. It just says happy birthday. Here's my little inverse panda, and the inside is just got the little sweet panda, and this is the one that he's kind of peeking through. If you are interested in seeing more still photos of these, please go ahead and head over to my blog. I will have more of those there, and of course I had to make another shaker and use my little inverse panda in that one. And then this other one that says, oh my gosh, I can't believe I forgot your birthday, and then just put the happy birthday in there. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and then let's just also do a recap of the stuff that I still have left. So I still have pretty much the whole packet of these felt thermal web pages. I have my stamp, of course, that I could use over and over again, the little die, and then the 2 envelopes because I wasn't sure what I was going to use it for. Also, a lot of the scraps from the pattern paper that I could definitely come back and use for different projects. So as you can see, this was a super fun kit to use. I hope that you guys enjoy the video. Leave me a comment below, let me know which card was your favorite, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye bye.